back, folks, to another episode of Fancy Tickles. I am Bryce Beeler, one of your hosts. That's Jim Madoff, the other host. Probably just put some fancy bubbles down there to give us some nicknames. If you listen to the show, you'll know what they are. It's episode 47. We're fucking getting very, very close to 50. I keep telling people forever and ever that, like, 50 episodes is what we got. Like, oh, yeah, it's like 50. But now it's actually almost 50.
We're 5 episodes away after this one from a full year.
Oh, snap. Is that because we missed some episodes?
Well, no. I think so. Maybe one more 53 because we did one bonus episode that we tossed out there, remember?
Oh, yeah.
So it would technically be 53 would be the 1 year mark.
Hells yes. And you'll drink to that.
Yeah.
Heck yeah. Other than that, what the fuck's been going on this week?
Shit, man. There's been just... we got Screech dying.
Mm-hmm.
Probably one of the first celebs that I guess you could say. Like,
yeah.
not A class.
Like, from
like,
our generation,
yeah.
though.
Like, because I remember waking up Saturdays
and...
watching Saved by the Bell and shit like that, you know. And they still just... It's in syndication now on, like, IFC and stuff like that. They still run it on Saturday mornings.
Well, it's, like, weird who dies, though. Like, you wouldn't think of Screech dying until Screech dies. And you're like, oh, that's really weird now. Like, I don't know.
Well, the fact that he was only 44 years old.
Yeah. It's cancer, I think.
Stage 4 cancer.
Yeah.
I'm not sure exactly which one it was, but...
Something. They all get you out at 4.
It was bad enough to get you.
Yeah, cancer's a hell of a thing. But shit, what else is... If I based it off memes, and I based it off Facebook posts, I'm going to say that people are maybe a little displeased with who they voted for president for. A little bit angry that there's jobs and not jobs.
I've seen that on both sides of the ball, though, as far as, like, who's president. Like, I've seen people that are like, at least we have a secretary person or that can actually be... what's the word?
I have no
Understood.
idea.
Like, they're not fumbling through or they're not, like... backtracking on some of the things they said.
Secretary? That's the important part to the American
people?
Well,
no, like, it's like you can understand, like, they're coherent. It's not like they're making sense and they're not saying one thing and then backtracking 2 weeks later or something like that.
Right.
At this point, anyway.
Yeah.
Which we're not that far into the presidency at all. So.
No, there is absolutely no reference to that yet. But, like, yeah, I haven't seen anything like that. I mean, I've seen a lot of memes, like, where he was talking about spending, like, $100 billion, and he kept over and over, be like 300, and this will be able to vaccinate 300 people, and he's mumbly fucking through everything that he says. But that's just like, I don't know.
We're gonna have X amount of vaccines, and we can vaccinate like 1/10 of it of whatever, and it's like, why wouldn't you just try to like get like the whole thing out there?
Right. Well, and it's just his numbers were all fucked.
Yeah.
He was like, we'll have 600 million vaccines by some date. Enough to vaccinate everybody twice, all 300 people, or something. It was just this mumbly fuck. It's like, is there anybody holding a cue card for this fucking puppet? Gotta be. Right. But, no, like in the real world, that's something like 10, now like close to 15,000 jobs have been lost in oil production and in building the pipeline itself and everything. So that's kind of sad for the economy.
Yeah.
Median gas prices already went up significantly across the country since our last day of Trump presidency and like now Biden presidency. Those might have nothing to do with each other, but typically gas prices start to go down at the end of winter, not up. So hopefully that's not an indicator of what's going to happen next. And like I always say, I hate all politicians like equally, so I don't really care what the president is. They all kind of suck one way or the other because they're just doing their thing, you know what I mean? Like, and that's being a politician and not living with the rest of us in this world. So
it's like the bosses at your job. They have their level of means, and then like they're like, once I'm here, I don't have to worry about anybody else.
Right.
Or like they come up with the plans, like for us. So like half the crap that we go through down at the store, the people at the top have never had to deal with any of that. Like, especially in a working situation.
Right.
Like, it does no good for you. You have no experience with it because you don't deal with it. You're just like, I'll walk around to the store and tell them, okay, this is what needs to be done and this is what we're doing. but I don't know anything about it.
Right, like the thing where like, wouldn't it be better if the freezers for all this beer were like over there? And it'd be like, well, that would be really rad if we hadn't designed the building to have them here.
Right.
You know, or like whatever unreasonable, like, they just assume things are jigsaw puzzles, which is pretty funny. I like it when a boss thinks they're paying you a living wage, right? But because it's like more than whatever they're like minimum wage. What is it, like 13 cents or something in Idaho? I don't know.
Something like that.
It's terrible. Whatever minimum wage is in Idaho. So anything that a job for some reason in Idaho offers like $1 more than nothing, and they're like all super proud of themselves. It's like, you realize the guy that I work with that makes $4 an hour more than I do still gets food stamps. Like that's my reference. Like, unless you're paying me a living wage, I don't really care how much more than the minimum wage. Like, how would I tried to do the math on the minimum wage, so it'd be like I think it's actually $7 an hour, or $7.25 or something like that.
It's like the national average.
Yeah, so that's roughly $300 every 40 hours. So that's $600 every 2 weeks. That's $1,200 a month, which is like this much above like the median disability payout or whatever in the country, which everybody that knows people on disability have roommates, or they have some situation where their significant other works, or they're retired or whatever, so it's like an impossible wage to live off of, and that's the minimum wage. Like, I don't know why that kind of shit just bugs a person or whatever when you're trying to like...
Or like, so when I first moved to grocery overnights and stuff like that, I tried to get on food stamps. Just me, just making like base minimum to pay my bills and everything else like that.
Yeah.
But because I worked full time, which is 32 hours or more anymore anywhere in the country,
right,
I was only going to get like $7 in food stamps. That was all I was eligible for.
Yeah, they paid somebody to process your paperwork that day. They work for the government, right? They're going to get, $100 in wages in a day. Of course, they're going to process other people's paperwork, so you got to divide it out. But they gave you less money than it took to make you the food stamp card, send it in the mail, get you an account, figure out probably hundreds of dollars went into that whole process with enough hands, and you got to make the card, whatever. So it's just funny. It's like, here's your $7. I mean,
like I was telling my boss at the time, he's like, I would have taken it. He goes, that's like, what, half a case of Red Bull if you wanted it? And I was like, you got a point.
Yeah.
I go, but it's almost like a slap in the face, like, because then you see people that are out there still working 40 hours a week, but then they've got a kid or a significant other that doesn't work or can't work or whatever, but they still get food stamps for it.
Oh yeah.
And they'll get $200-$300. Or the guy that doesn't work, gets unemployment, and then on top of that still gets $1,200 for his 3 kids and his wife.
No shit. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. Like
I'm not against food stamps.
No, but it's like, have it be a usable thing. Like, it works great for all these people getting $600, $700, $800 a month. Even $400, $300 is a lot,
But not somebody that can abuse it. Like, my big thing with it is, like, there needs to be restrictions on what you can and can't buy.
Right. Well, and that's even if it is, you used to not be able to get energy drinks. You used to not be able to get, and now they have all these. And I gotta admit, every store does it.
Oh yeah, no,
workarounds where it's like, I'll take the hot chicken from this case, put it in a package, and put it in the cold case. Now all of a sudden that's cold food and you can buy it. It's like, well, if we wanted to come up with workarounds, we wouldn't have made the law in the first place. Why? Like, people always seem to go to the extreme of things. Like,
well, that's like, so when we had the pizza bar there, people would come in, and we could cook the pizza on site for you if you wanted. We had the ovens for it.
Mm-hmm.
But you couldn't buy hot pizza with food stamps. So what they would do is they would buy the cold one out of the case, go pay for it,
and bring it
back and have you cook it for them.
Yeah.
Or the fact that you can buy Starbucks on food stamps.
Right. Like,
as long as it's a cold drink. Like, I think...
Right. That's the stupid
or the
thing.
people that...
The cold or hot is what necessitates it in a world where everything comes out of a fucking microwave or something nowadays. Like...
Well, and so the big thing with energy drinks, as long as it doesn't say, like, supplement on it, if it says nutritional... That's when it classifies as something that...
So now we just have energy drink companies that know to, like, put that on there instead of supplement. Like,
I think the thing is that no matter what, they know it's going to get bought.
Right.
Well, by somebody that actually
somebody
has
will
money
just
or
buy
whatever.
something else on food stamps and have you buy them.
But the other ones that really piss me off are the families, like I said, the big families that come in and they'll buy steak and lobster for the mom and dad.
Right.
Right, for
and
the older
mac
folks.
And cheese.
not even mac and cheese. They'll get like the TV dinner, like kid cuisine meals for the kids. That's the one that pisses me off more than anything, I think. Is because it's like, your kid doesn't deserve to eat a good meal.
Yeah, well, yeah. Or that you deserve to eat steak and lobster. Like, maybe you need to just spend all that time you'd spend cooking that steak and lobster. Go find
like, again, I'm not trying to pick on anybody that has to use it, because
but we were on it. Has to use it.
We were on it as a family. That's the thing. Like, has to use it is different. Once you can get off of it, you need to get off of it.
Right.
But it's those people that, like you said, work the system to where they're like, over abuse it.
And they'll work all different kinds of the system. You know, we see that happening in politics right now.
Yeah.
Or like just in the world in general, you know, you want to tax my large corporation fairly so that I'm actually paying anything of significance to the country that allows me to manufacture and become a billionaire. Their answer to that is, oh, well, we'll just make it in Mexico. We'll make it in Canada. We'll make it in Thailand. We'll make it in China. We'll make it wherever. And it's like, so you want to uphold this overpriced, inflated system in everything that we're akin to in the country, but then when it comes to our production value and output, or our exporting, now all of a sudden it's a nickel and dime thing. You know, it's like, oh, well, we'll just take this job elsewhere. It's like, well, then that person should have a huge tariff put on their, you know, company.
Right.
We've got to be able to get money out of them somewhere. They're not even going to provide infrastructure, old buildings, like within our country. But outside of that, all this doomy, gloomy, stressful stuff has got me doing my artsy-fartsy thing again. Starting to draw quite a bit more. I have my first try. My first try at anybody but myself. I drew a gym. And let's get to... There's my gym. And there's my other gym. Oh, they're all together. I did like the sinister like rapper version of him, so he's all like straight faced and.
I feel like that would be like if I ever committed a crime, that would be the photo they use as like my
dude.
Crime
if you
sketch.
Ever get arrested and they're gonna take your fucking picture, just big old cheesy grin. It's like whatever it is, especially it's. I mean, like, I'm not putting this on you, but say you ever like killed a hooker or something, you know, and like that's what it says your crime was. You know, it's super funny that you're like in the picture. Like
I saw a picture on Facebook the other day. It was this dude tried turning himself in to collect the finder's fee on himself.
Oh, for his own.
And he like in the photo that they're taking, he's like, "What? I can't get the money."
Right. It's because you skipped out on your fucking bail bond place. Like, they're not going to pay you the money that you already owe them 10 times as much now. That's why they pay us to come find you.
It looked like fucking Flavor Flav had just been like left at the altar or something.
Huh?
Yeah. Like, bitch, where you going?
Well, it's funny how, like, so if people don't understand, like, bail bonds work, typically you get arrested, and then to get jumped out, a family member or you make a phone call, they figure out to make sure that you're worth the money. So they put up all the money, you pay them 10% of it. So if you got a $5,000 bond, or, you know, $5,000 bail, you only have to put up $500 to get yourself out of jail to try and come up with the other funds. As long as you go to court, your appointed court date, they get the money back and the bond is taken away. If you run and don't come to court, that bail bonds company is now on the hook for the entire amount for you, and you haven't been surrendered.
Yeah.
And so that's why they send bail enforcement guys out, is because that's the only way they can collect is by turning you in.
Yeah.
And then it takes the bond away, and they keep that 10% that you put up front, which they always do, whether you're good or bad or otherwise. But don't skip court. Go to fucking court.
Right.
It's unreal.
Back to drawing. I used to draw a fuck ton back in like elementary days. Like I
Really?
just haven't done a whole lot. We would do Pettingill. We were in the same elementary school, always in the same class. So we would either draw like cars, or like I did like a big Ninja Turtle phase where I drew all the characters from the Turtles.
Nice. Do you have any of your old shit left?
I don't think so.
Dang it. Man. You should.
Like, I remember exactly how I drew the turtles out, so I'll sketch one out for you.
Draw it again. Yeah,
I will.
Yeah.
I'll sketch one out for you.
The only thing about drawing is you just got to do it more.
Yeah.
Like, I think everybody could be pretty artistic if they tried.
To a level.
It's that, like, well, I think the human brain's got it in it. I think it's really more capable than... I think it's whether your mind will say, oh, I can do that. You know what I mean? Because I've tried to draw a few different things through the years where I just like gave up halfway through. I'm like, this is garbage. Like, I don't even want to try and finish. I don't know why I can't find a reference in my picture to give it the look that I want or whatever. But I happened to be in a mood, and I had like the picture from the Fancy Tickles page on my phone, and I was like, I'll just really pay attention and do it like I normally would, and just I'm gonna fucking finish this drawing. And it, you know, kind of looks like you.
Like
got a beard,
I'll take
got
it,
a hat, got a nose, couple of years,
all,
you know,
all the main necessities.
Well, and I did it kind of like, like I have my goofy, like self-portrait thing I did a few years ago. Might as well just take it off the wall, since we're talking about art or whatever. But like, where are we at there? So that's one that I did of me. Yeah, it's like I like that picture, but people have told me they like the picture I did of you, like more, and I'm like, oh. Well, so it's all style and like perspective and things like that.
Like that one definitely, like I see you in it, but I also see like a very, like it might just be your perception of yourself.
Yeah, no, for sure. That was that one at the time for sure. Just kind of like daunt.
Yeah.
I was tired when I came up with that one. And I was in a phase where I would just draw faces on everything. I still kind of just really enjoy drawing faces in that perspective.
Yeah.
And I don't know why I've never done like a reference, like a side of anybody. Maybe because I can't do noses.
Yeah, never.
Another thing I delved back into is skateboarding. I was gonna say, man, I fucking got back on board. Got a little recording of me on YouTube. Zippity doo on around the bowl. A couple. It was funny, like people, like their comment or whatever. There was one's like awesome, radical, bro, stuff like. I'm like, I still talk the same. You don't have to bro skateboard talk me. Like that's just wicked, bro, man. Like, well, I just kind of dinked her. Anyway.
Glad you think I'm super cool.
But yeah, it's been interesting getting back into it. I thought it'd be way too old. Like I thought that I'd finally get to where it was just too sore. Like I fell down like super good one time. And I was like, I got this. Still feels exactly the same or better than, because like I've been like overweight or completely out of shape before when I tried to go back to skateboarding, and it's always just this. I just feel like a big fucking balloon full of sausage or whatever trying to haul my ass around on those things.
Yeah.
But it's been fun. And the world of skateboarding has completely changed.
Oh, yeah.
Totally fucking different. I don't know. I know like 3 or 4 professional skateboarders left, and it's just because they're at the tail end of their career from when they were little kids or whatever when I was
or now they'll be like doing for like the world record type stuff. Like
yeah, Bob Burnquist
Bob Burnquist still tries to do like the big air type deal.
Yeah. Yeah, he's getting up there. He's probably 40 something now. So but, and Tony Hawk just did a 900 the other day, and he's like 53 or 4.
Yeah.
So you can still do it. You just have to keep on it. You have to stay on the board. Like if
you
get
now
off
he's got his kids that are into it, that are pro and everything else like that.
Yeah, Riley Hawk is sick. Totally different kind of skateboarder.
Yeah.
Completely. He rides for Baker. I think he still rides for Baker. Street skater.
Way more street skater than his dad was.
Yeah, nothing like his dad was in Divert. He can skate the shit out of a pool though.
Yeah.
Super skates shit out of a pool. Locally it's changed. They're building little and big skate parks fucking everywhere. Of course, we got ours, and I've been back on board like since it was built or whatever, but I only got a little bit of it before I either moved away and did something else. But Lapwade's building a skate park. They're in phase 1 of a 3-phase project, so they have a little dink around bowl that reminds me of the old Pullman skate park, but like correctly built, not just built by a contractor.
Right.
Because it's totally different having, like, Grindline comes in and builds most parks you've ever been to. And there's like a certain touch to laying coping and like making cement not bumpy or whatever. So Pullman was fun, but it had like a contractor would make a sidewalk and then they use like the brush to go through and put the lines in it so it has traction. Well, like all the ramps were covered in that, and then the flat bottom was smooth, so you'd just start to grip up on them doing something, and then you'd hit the bottom and be slick and you'd slide out.
Yeah.
But a little project out in Lapways, super awesome. I got a hold of one of the tribal members right off the top of my head. Of course, I can't think of his name. That is running the project for it. It's called the Butterfly Skate Park. It says they're also building one in Kamiai.
Oh, wow.
So Kamiai is going to get a skate park. Lapway's getting a skate park. Palouse, little tiny Palouse, about whatever it is, 13 miles past Pullman. They have a really killer park, big old giant pool bowl with a little tiny street section that's pretty fun. Yeah. There's one more. Orofino. They have like a little pre-built one. They have like the put together metal and wood kind of ramp, the ones that you can keep adding to, almost like a tech deck park. It's pretty fun. I rode a scooter up there, but yeah, I mean, just fucking skate parks all over the place now.
There you go.
I just want to travel, just do one big old loop and hit all the kind of different parks that I'm around.
Small town though, like the big ones are fun, but like I think the small town ones have a different vibe to them.
They do, because the locals are going to be there for the most part. Like if it's a little, like there's a Indian reservation north of Spokane, and I'm totally forgetting it. I want to say Ford. It's called Ford. And
I have no idea.
I don't either. I just am trying to remember. I think it's called Ford. And they had a park, just a little park in the middle of nowhere. Yeah. But there was like, I've never shown up there and had at least somebody not be there.
Right.
But you go to Lewiston, you can find all the time in the world down there to be by yourself.
Yeah.
Which is nice. Like, not focusing on, like, running over little kids and scooters and, like, now that I take Ollie down there with me, like, if I take Ollie with me, I don't ride because I'm watching him, make sure he doesn't get run into, and I'm like, I feel like a helicopter parent, but at the same time, I have watched little kids get just obliterated, like, missing teeth and, not broke bones. Yeah, probably. I mean, I've seen some pretty gnarly wipeouts where a big adult is going really fast, some little tiny thing comes out of nowhere. Most of the time it's the adult. Like, I've gotten hurt pretty good avoiding running a little kid over.
Well, and I think that's the thing too, is
you figure out a way to not hit them, which puts you in like the worst spot.
Yeah, you guys are always in more alertness of what's around you.
Right. And knowing what's going to happen if you run into, you're like, oh, I'm going to explode this.
Well, like, you guys are always looking, like, before you do any trick or any run of anything I've seen, everybody always clears the path out.
Right.
Like, you make sure there's no rocks, there's nothing that's going to stop you from rolling smoothly. So anytime you go up and you do something, you're looking at what's going to deter you from getting a smooth landing coming back in or rolling away from it safely. And anytime that something intercedes in that path is going to cause danger, whether it's to you or to whatever else it is.
Well, and it just breaks your focus. Yeah. Because you get in a little just tunnel vision when you're trying to land something, and most of the time other guys are helping, hey, watch out, he's coming right through there or whatever, because it's like an etiquette thing. If everybody doesn't get a try, then nobody gets a try because we're just, like an outsider would look at a skate park and be like, look at all them kids behaving, rolling around. But in reality, like if you went down on the ant colony, you'd be like, oh, there's a bunch of adults really upset that the shitty parents are sitting over on the benches, like, texting on Tinder or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know how many times there's been a kid, like, as small as Ollie, just, like, walking around the park with, like, one shoe, and the mom's over, like, on the bench, just, like, stuck in a phone or whatever. It's like, hey, could you maybe prevent your child from dying by being run over by anybody here besides your child? It's a park. It's a skate park. The park's
a little different.
Right over there. Yeah. The slides and the monkey bars and people not going super fast on concrete and metal.
Yeah.
But it's been fun. I'm excited to, like, actually learn how to ride the thing again.
I tried a long time ago, and I'm just not coordinated enough for it.
You have to try more than one day.
Oh, no.
You got to give it a go.
I had given it several goes.
You got to give it more than several goes. I was
my
the
feet
worst.
Do not work for any of that. Like, I can vouch for that. That longboard that you built me out.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm trying to ride it to work. Get going down, and I try to push, and it's like I shoot the board out from underneath me. So I go to chase it down, and I go to, like, stop it, and as I stop it with the foot that I put on the board, the other foot rolls. And it rolls and the ankle pops.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, well, shit. Like, it pops to the point, like, where I was like, okay, I'm not even going to be able to get back on the board for a minute. So, like, and this is when I was over on 13th and Libby with Dad.
Yeah.
So I ride down that little section until I hit Chestnut. I was going to push it down Chestnut towards Diagonal. And that was when I fucked up the ankle. Rolled the ankle, like I said, popped it. Right?
Mm.
And it is... You've done that several times skating.
Yeah, it's discouraging if that's not the part of skating. Like, I consciously am aware of that I can smash my brains out or roll an ankle or break an arm or whatever, and I'm okay with it. Like, if it happens, it has happened. I've broken tons of bones skating. But if, like, you're picturing that, like, the Facebook ad that you've seen when the guy's just pushing down a nice, smooth, perfect path, like, it never shows that, like, oh, I have to learn how to ride this thing. Like, I have to push, I have to be... like, and the dumb shit. Like, I don't know how many times I've run into shit being perfectly fine 3 seconds earlier, You turn and look at somebody, turn around, wham, right into a fucking pole.
Well, that was my biggest like deal with it, was the balance on the board and being able to put a foot on it and push, and then come back on the board and like get my feet to move on the board without me like losing balance and like falling on my face.
Yeah,
because I've done that plenty of times just as a little kid playing with it. Like we had an old school, it was a scooter, but it was a skateboard with like a pair of handles drilled into where the truck goes, or attached to where the truck goes. And we took the handlebar off, and we had this little path when I was back in Iowa. It was like just this little tiny like cement sidewalk that went down, but it went down from the front porch to the gravel road. So we would just stand on it and coast down to the gravel road, and then turn back around and do the same thing over again. That was what we had. But trying to do with that deck, riding down the street with that, so like I rolled the ankle on my way to work. So it's not even like I can call in at that point. Like I'm 20 minutes out. Roll the ankle, walk the rest of the way down Chestnut till I hit diagonal, get to where the road slopes a little bit, set the board down, stand on it, and coast until it flattens out. Walk the rest of the way into the store, deal with it. Week later, don't even ride the board to work anymore at this point. Chilling at the house. Coming down the stairs at work, I go to read something on one of the walls, and my other ankle rolls down and pops. And pops. Does the same exact fucking thing. And as soon
what you're saying is it's just as dangerous to be Jimmy on a skateboard as it is off a skateboard.
Yeah, it doesn't work.
I think we could do it. I think if you're really forced the issue... Because there was guys at the park back in the day, and I'm not going to name drop because it's not very nice, but it didn't matter how long they skated, it always looked like they just started skating.
Right.
Like, it always was like you were nervous. Like, there's guys I can see going on a skateboard fucking 25, 30 miles an hour. I'm not even thinking that anything's going to go wrong. And there's people that, like, they'll be like 2 pushes in on flat ground. I'm like, oh, God. Like, it's like watching just before a NASCAR wreck perpetually. And then you're just knowing it's about to happen.
I had one success on a skateboard, and it earned me a 2 liter soda. Yeah.
Huh?
Hanging out with Chris, Nine Heist,
Yeah.
Tony, and Pennygill. We were at the Lewiston skate park, the old one, and the little pyramid.
Yeah.
Flat top, and then it just rolls down.
Yeah.
They we'll get you a 2 liter soda if you can roll in on this. And I was like, there's no way. Like, I was like, I'm going to fucking bust ass the entire way down. And they're like, just lean into it a little bit. And I was like, if I lean into it, I'm going to eat my fucking teeth on the ground. Like, I don't want to do that either. Like, I'd rather bust my ass than my teeth. So, like, just do it. And so, like, I fucking leaned in and rolled out through it. And, like, that was like, the great success of a skateboard.
That was your fucking trick, dude.
That was my great success.
So we got to just take
that or back. Just fucking killing Tony Hawk.
Yeah. God, those games were fucking good. Still are. I have it for GameCube. I have it for PlayStation 2. It's good stuff.
I want to find... I can't even get the digital copy. Well, I've got the digital copy for 1 and 2 for the remaster.
Oh, yeah.
That's still a ton of fun. I haven't played that in a long time.
What's cool is I never thought about it, but you can't play 1 or 2 the way that you play the rest of them because I don't think it was till 3 that you could manual.
Yeah.
So
there was no manual.
Going back and doing, say, like the very first warehouse level... it's the warehouse level.
Yeah.
But with a manual, I mean, you could just literally.
Oh, the combo.
Yeah, you would never stop. Like it would be so.
Well,
much
I think
fun.
that's why, like on the remastered version, they ramped the combo up from like 10,000 to like 25,000 or something like that.
Well,
for like
you could just
the
kill
first
that
level.
Area.
Yeah.
And it has another overlay above the through the glass, doesn't it? Like, can't you get further up in the warehouse now or something like that?
No, not this one. There's another level from like the second one where it was the hangar where you can go outside.
That's the one maybe I was thinking of.
Because you grind across the helicopter propellers and it opens up one spot or it opens up another one.
Those ones were so good.
Yeah.
Like once you could find little secret levels or the funny one, like you could just run into guys.
Right.
People chase you.
Well, then after you beat certain levels, you unlock like other characters. Like, what was it, Officer Dick?
Yeah,
something like that.
Yeah. I forgot about those.
Or ones. Now you can I think one of them was like the Toy Machine Eye or whatever it was.
Oh,
it was one of those. Or like the alien from Roswell.
Guy. Yeah. I forgot all about the novelty characters. That stuff.
And then it wasn't until the third one you could create a skater.
Yeah, third one or second one. That was fun though. Making like I'd always make a big fat guy.
Oh yeah.
That was I don't know why, I just thought it was hilarious that I'd have a big fat guy.
And like you said, the pro skaters have changed drastically from the first Tony Hawk to this new one. Because now this newest one, like in 5, they have like 2 or 3 females you can skate with.
Really?
That was never like a big thing back in the day. Like there were female
pro
skaters. Yeah, I think
Alyssa Steamer was the first one.
Was the only one in Tony Hawk 1.
Yeah. And then after that, I think it's like Cara Beth Burnside, I'd imagine, is probably in there, and not in that one. I mean, eventually she's in the series.
A pro skater.
I'm trying to think of the other women that are on the video
Lizzie
game.
Something.
I was gonna say something. Armanta.
I don't remember her last name.
Anyway.
But then you've got guys like Nyjah Houston, Ashad Ware.
See, Nyjah Houston was like 10 years old the last time I was really into skating. He was like a little kid that was really good at skating. He rode for like Element at the time.
Yeah.
He still does.
I don't know if he does or not. But now he's like a full-grown man, like covered in tattoos.
Yeah.
Ryan Sheckler's the same way.
Yeah. Well, and there's another one of those like could have went bad but didn't. He just got a bunch of tattoos. And then there's the opposite of that, like people like Justin Bieber that are out like skateboarding in capri pants and slip-ons.
Well, the fact that Lil Wayne skateboards.
Yeah.
And had a deal. He's got a deal with Vans, like a Vans shoe deal.
Yeah, I can't remember. He had a board or something too, because he was like skating a mini ramp and a bunch of guys. He had like the hype crew.
Yeah.
You know, and like all of his dudes, whatever you call them from the crew, like he landed like a.
What was
it? Was like a mini ramp, like 2 feet tall, and he does like a 50-50 or like a rock and roll. And they all just start doing the like, oh shit, snap, son thing, you know, like where they're all.
Well, I mean, when you think about it, for somebody that doesn't do like that's never been part of their lifestyle.
Well, I just
doing it or anything like that.
Yeah.
No, I get it.
You know, like
I totally get it.
Like, did you forget to invite the 8-year-old from down the street over to your session because he might make you look fucking terrible?
Right.
You know, it's just live in reality if you're gonna hype your shit up.
No shit.
Do a fake loop, like edit it like Jack Black. You ever seen the one where he's like, Tony challenged me to something or whatever? I think it was the water bottle challenge or whatever thing that they were doing at the time.
Might have been.
And Tony Hawk did like a 540 while holding like a glass of milk. Did you see that? That's legit. It's not CGI, dude. Like they had to do it like 10 times or something like that, and they had to keep cleaning the ramp off or whatever. But he legit has a glass of milk open and does like on a vert ramp a 540. While holding the glass, and then rolls away and doesn't spill any, like not one fucking drop of the milk gets spilled, dude. It's awesome. It's super cool looking. He walks up like to the camera after and takes a big old drink. It's like, holy shit.
Damn.
But yeah, imagine Lil Wayne doing a 50-50 also.
Well, speaking of fucking rappers, dude, I pointed this out to you, and I pissed you off by who I compared it to, but just the look of it. Anybody out there know who Lil Uzi Vert is? He's a rapper, kind of one of those mumble rapper type jobs. But
you had to tell me that too, didn't you? You had to tell me.
It only makes sense that some stupid mumble rapper would get this expensive ass thing in their face.
Yes,
he gets a $24 million with an M dollar diamond surgically implanted into his forehead.
Right, and this is the part that I was just about to explode about. And I'll just go ahead and do it now. You had to tell the listener, if you haven't heard of him, and he could afford $24 million to put a fucking rock in his forehead. You know how dumb that is?
Oh, yeah.
That makes my fucking skin crawl to be like, well, I guess I'll go to work for my peanuts every day, and like, there's some guy that mumbles at a microphone that happens to have nice veneers, and he has the money to put a 20... Like, what other money does he have, or did he just take it all? Like, he still drives like an 82 Cutlass with one donut on it.
It's the crazy thing now with rap is like they...
Where's the money coming from?
Half of it is like they get the start on YouTube and stuff like that. Or like they put out the little videos. Yeah. Like that's where they get discovered at. Or like when I was in Arkansas, all the guys that were doing their stuff would like... Kind of like we're doing. They had a mic... And it probably was a little bit better mic than this. It was like one of the studio mics that we've got that we just don't use. But it's like one of those hanging in a closet with foam padding all around, super quiet laptop. Right. And that's how they record it. And then they like burn the CDs and put it out. That's how we were doing it when I was even down there.
Yeah, and you were grinding. Like they had actual music, actual singing, actual rap.
Yeah.
What I mean is why as a consumer have we even considered mumble rap anything but a joke?
Because it's different than what we always have had. And that's the thing. That's why music has always changed. It's something evolving, even if it's worse.
It's not. Yeah, it's not.
Even if it's worse,
it's like not attempting. That's the part I don't understand. Is like, if I went somewhere and was doing karaoke, guy gets up, fucking blasts some song out of the park. Woman gets up, blasts something out of the park, and then I like pick up a microphone, and like drunkenly mumble through a Lynyrd Skynyrd song. I wouldn't ever imagine a world where somebody went, like, did the Marty McFly thing, ran to the phone. Steve, you're not going to believe it, but you got to hear this sound. And he fucking puts the phone up to, so, never gonna let you down, like that kind of shit. And so it just blows my mind, like, how that ever went anywhere.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
It's different isn't always good.
No, and that's the thing. But
like,
that's it's what society is drawn to, whether it's good, bad, or
that's
different.
What's crazy. Like, that people, maybe I just think life, like, so hard. Like, I think that's it. I think overthink life way hard sometimes. And in this sense where it's like, he's a millionaire with lots of millions. Like, not like that he has a million. He was a one-time whatever. Some of these mumble rappers have multiple albums. Like, who out there, go ahead and maybe hit us up on the Facebook and maybe, like, argue your point if you are a fan of mumble rap. Because I have two reasons for this. A, I want you to have to publicly say that you like mumble rap to everybody else. And B, I doubt anybody's going to actually do that. Like, who's going to admit that they like no lyrics? Like,
Well, and I think there's lyrics in there. It's whether or not you can understand them. And that's the thing.
Right. Like,
that's where half of it comes from.
How do other rappers think of these guys? I mean, are they wanting to cut their throats all the time? Like, because gangsters will be like, gangster rap or whatever you want to call it, especially like, say the 90s, there's like East Coast, West Coast, there's like true rival. People died, people got shot like in real fucking gangs, and these were guys putting out like if Tupac and Biggie are dead because of a slight disrespect between an area in which you produced your music and where you came from, wouldn't they feel just as trampled on? Like Eminem, his lyricism, his abilities, people,
that's
that are amazing, sharing space with somebody that isn't even writing lyrics down because you can change them every song. That's one thing I heard.
Well, and that's the thing. He's come out completely against it. He does not like mumble rap. And half of the songs that he's put out in the last two albums, he calls out a handful of people for doing just that. And like,
because they can't clap back.
There are...
So, so Machine Gun Kelly, Eminem, have their fucking send-off. And I think right now...
I think it's... there's nothing going on or shots
Tom
back and forth.
McDonald is shooting fire at somebody right now, and I can't remember who it is, but he called him out hard on one of his last songs. Imagine them going at somebody that's a mumble rap, and then they're like, yeah, dude, this is a clap back reboot, and then like that's their response, and if anybody takes it serious, I'm out. I'm fucking moving to Mars, dude. If anybody's like, dude, have you heard the clap back from the Mumble King to Eminem's album, or whatever, it's like, I don't know, maybe I just don't understand it. Well, but musicianship already disappoints me when we start having auto-tune and the computer's doing too much and whatever. It's like, well, who are you as an actual artist when I see you live? Which most of them can still sing, most of them sing well, whatever, and it's only rare instances that we find out people actually can't sing. But like that, I don't know, it's just a weird headspace.
One of my favorite guys out there that sounds like he's auto-tuned that is not, and you've actually you can watch him just take a video recorder and record himself straight off of it. T-Pain. T-Pain sounds exactly how he sounds on the song.
Right.
He can just hit those pitches, and that's his voice.
Right.
It's ridiculous how his voice is like his voice.
How does he feel about auto-tune? Probably the same way that rappers feel about mumble rap.
And he's even said that he's used auto-tune before as well, but it's taking that voice and using it on auto-tune that takes it a step further than people that just use auto-tune.
Like the roll between notes, that like thing that it does or whatever, the little robot click, that's cool sounding if that's the point.
Yeah.
But you should be able to hit that note live.
Yeah.
Like if they had an auto-tune, how you have like plugins for guitars, pedals and shit.
Yeah.
if it wasn't affecting your voice, it just gave that between the pitches.
Right.
That would be cool too.
And see, that's the other thing. So, like we were saying, made the point of like East Coast, West Coast. I think then it was all about lyrics.
Yeah.
It wasn't about being different and like trying. Like you obviously had the different sounds between the East Coast and the West Coast, and even the South. Like when Outkast first came out, they had a completely different sound than anybody else.
Yeah.
Like you could tell New York had their sound, and it was like a lot of it was the pitch of their voice, but it was also like the music, the instrumental behind it. Same with West Coast. West Coast had more of a smoother melodic kind of beat.
Yeah.
But it also had more of the like the
well, it had the
kick
Malibu
drums, the
in
snares.
it. Yeah, well, it was more like Latino inspired.
Yeah.
Like it was those two communities. Like anything that comes out of LA is going to be a little spicier and jazzier than shit that's going to come from certain parts of the East Coast.
And then you go down
the
south
Midwest
and it's more,
people too. I mean,
yeah. Well, when Nelly did his thing when he first came out, that was like the first time you'd ever heard anybody really from like the Midwest.
Yeah.
Like that
Well,
St.
and they're
Louis
like
sound.
fans. They're like that you get the fan where it's like, oh, I'm just in the middle of the country and I can enjoy any music I want as inspiration, and so you get a unique sound out of the deal.
Yep.
But
and then just it's insane how like just it's all like I like listening to like the ones where you put somebody from every
no way
spot.
Just a second, folks.
Wondering if that's dinner.
Dinner? Hope not. Oh, it is.
Told you it was homemade ramen.
Awesome, thanks, man. Appreciate it.
It's still fucking hot.
Well, it's always a plus.
Yeah.
Right now you're being recorded on the
we're
podcast.
Middle of the podcast.
So say hi.
So
It's fucking ramen.
we got some raw. All right, folks. Well, this has only happened twice, I think, on the show. We got interrupted. Neighbor's super awesome guy. Love him to death. He doesn't know that it's Thursday recording night, but knocked on the door to bring us some super awesome homemade top ramen, and we'll try and keep this train going forward. 47 minutes ago or so, I think we were talking about rap music.
Yeah,
we were fucking wrapping that topic
we were
up.
Wrapping the wrap up.
We were wrapping up rap because I was just getting mad.
Yeah, it was
about
like,
my financial situation.
My brain was the last thought I had before we were slightly interrupted was, just.
Is this really happening right now, folks? I don't know if you fucking can hear it. It'll maybe just be funny to me, but like we just start recording again. Hot rod truck outside. I'm almost guaranteed he's gonna like test rev it up too.
You think so?
Like, I never rev this thing up. I better right now. And
don't ever take off out of the driveway.
I normally wouldn't peel out, and I normally wouldn't play Leonard Skinner, but here I go. No, but
no. So my last thought on that was it's to me it's nice to see, or it's crazy when you get somebody from every section of the country that does rap with their own sound on the same track.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know a great example right off the top of my head, but just seeing that people are collaborating in music a lot more than they used to.
They did one where it was, well, I mean, the only thing that I can think of offhand, and it's not even like a rap song per se, but it was Limp Bizkit's Rollin'.
Yeah.
The remix that they did, where it was Fred Durst, DMX, Redman, Method Man.
It's kind of people from
Jadakiss, stuff like that. Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, so after that, I had one that I've found hilarious throughout this week. And to me, it's almost like the highlight, like the peak of what would be the Don't Tell Mom. Like, you hit your sibling really hard, and it leaves a mark.
Right.
And you're like, I'll give you my allowance if you don't tell Mom, or you can punch me back. You just hit me real good, real hard. I'll let you hit me 3 times for the one time I got you, or something like that.
Yeah, yeah.
The King of Thailand, and I don't know his name because I wasn't even going to try to pronounce it.
Yeah.
He has a queen. He's married. And he was very, very seriously considering marrying, like, his mistress or whatever, and making her his second queen.
Yeah.
Like, legitimately having a double queen, like medieval times, right? And his sister has now been upset about the whole thing. Kind of started throwing a tizzy about it over there. Took it to the media, like he shut her down. Like, I'm doing it. Don't care what the fuck you say. It's my life.
I live life how I want to live.
It's like Jerry Springer. It's my life. You don't know me.
You don't know me.
You don't know my life. But
not back to the music thing, but you already knew what I was gonna say. The fucking Catch Me Outside girl.
Yep.
Perfect fucking example of some piece of shit rolling into the money. Son of a bitch, I'm gonna just be pissed the rest of this fucking episode, dude.
Well, no, because we got stuff that you can be excited for later.
I know.
We're getting to it. We're getting to it.
I know.
So his sister is now completely upset at the idea of him having a second queen. And I think the way I read the article, laying it all out in simple terms, he sicked his dogs on her. And they, like, knocked her down. And she tripped and fell. And it's not certain how this happened, but both of her ankles got broken.
Right.
Like, that to me is
in
like
boot-shaped fashion.
Yeah. It was either said that he then double stomped on her ankles, like Super Mario, I'm going to squish the mushroom guys.
Hell yeah.
The Koopas. Jumped up and stomped on them, or they were struck with a cane simultaneously. Like, he just...
Either way, you did it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's not said if he did it, or if... Well, if he stomped on her feet would be one thing, or if he had her feet caned.
Like you're saying, man, just go ask his mom. She'll tell.
Right.
Yeah, because the sissy definitely told
Oh,
mom.
yeah, she snitched. She snitched way hard. Did you ever have any instances like that where you'd, like...
Well, sort of, yeah, but it wasn't, like, because I didn't have siblings, per se. I just had, like, my mom had a really big house that my dad had left her. And then her response, obviously not having, like, my dad's money, was to move in all of her girlfriends and all of their kids. And so, like, our 4-bedroom, what seemed like mansion with endless space now became, like, you know, like when Mexican families have, like, 47 people in a 2-bedroom apartment? That's kind of pretty much what it felt like. But then the whole back of it was filled with all their loser gig band boyfriends that would crash on the weekend. Gotcha. This is how I met that midget with the really big dick. He used to, dude, yeah,
I've never heard this story.
So here's the best part of this guy.
King of Thailand to a midget dick big story.
Right, so he was the bass player.
Oh, wow.
Right? So imagine this little tiny guy. And he was awesome. He had this, like, long hair and the, like, super 90s Fu Manchu fucking goatee thing, leather jacket, Harley, whole 9 yards.
All right.
And played bass or whatever. Well, one time I had overheard my mom's friend telling another friend on the phone about his dick. And I didn't know what she was talking about at the time. I didn't get the reference. Like, she kept saying, like, oh, I cannot believe how big he is. You know, and I'm like, this fucking midget isn't big at all. I'm bigger than this guy is, and I'm like 8. You know, anyway, so I had to pee one day, and I fucking just book it right in the bathroom, not even fucking thinking about it. Well, it had a little shower stall, and he must have just been coming out. And when they say, like, baby arm, you know how much bigger a wiener that is already big is on somebody that's a midget? Like, I was like, I think my brain was immediately concerned that it was going to catch on something or drag on the ground.
Even at 8 years old, you knew that.
Even at 8, I was like, damn! He could kill somebody with that thing. Just by hitting him over the head, too. Not just internal bleeding type of shit.
Yeah, no.
Fuck. Anyway, what made me start talking about big wieners?
Was the fact that I don't necessarily know it was big wiener that got you on it, but it was that with the house.
I'm thinking about
where
it
you
now.
lived at, yeah.
Yeah, something about the house. Something about the house.
The worst mom he hit me or I'm.
Oh, so
don't tell mom. Don't
so
tell mom.
That's
don't
where
snitch on mom.
That kind of stuff happened, and I can tell this story about 2 people. One that's definitely not listening to the podcast, and one that is maybe and was on the good side of this story. So as a little kid, you know, this age, when I lived where I lived, there was this barn in the field, like right next to the house, and it was all by itself or whatever. So we broke in, like year after year, summer after summer, and turned the whole thing into like a clubhouse because it was abandoned. There was like all 30s and 40s car parts just kind of strewn about the one side, and old too. It looked like it just got abandoned in the 40s, and so nobody ever went in there, out of there, or used it as an actual barn because it was all closed in. So it was our clubhouse. Well, it had the hayloft, and that was where our fucking clubhouse. You go up the ladder, you got a view. You had the cool door that opened from the second floor out to the ground. Right. So we did a lot of play wrestling, did a lot of play sword fighting with like broom handles and shit. Well, me, Justin Newhouse, and Brandon Kerbrat were the kids all playing in our like fort. Justin lived right here, Brandon lived like right there, and we were fucking sword fighting, and then we were real fighting, and then I don't know what led to this. I do, because I was like insane at the time, but Justin made his way towards that thing, and I know that like 300 wasn't out yet for like years or whatever, but the only time I remember when I seen that movie was like, that's what I did to Justin. So he like, I was like, get the fuck out of here or something like that as little kids, and he like turned around like he was gonna go down the ladder, and I just Spartan kicked him in the back, sent him out that fucking barn door, dude, second floor. Shit. And you like, we only see the reference, like the ground
to him,
the floor, and him going out. Like, I'm that far back after I'd kicked him, you know, and like step back or whatever. And so like you see a guy just going head first 2 stories down. I'm like, oh, I'm going to jail, this sucks. And you like see him, and when we went out, he was on his back, so he must have done a full flip and just perfectly landed on his back. But like, we looked at him and he was like, but not really moving. I thought, oh, no fucking way, dude, like, we killed this guy.
Right.
And we immediately, dude, we killed that guy.
You were here too.
You were here too.
You could have stopped me. It's your fault.
So immediately, we're like both looking at him and I'm like, oh no. And then he's like, all at once, he's just like, and let out this fucking whine, and
like
gets
just
up
completely knocked
and
the air
starts
out of him,
running for his house, which is across 13th and like over to his house or whatever. And I'm like, oh, we gotta catch him and talk about it, getting us in trouble, dude. I'm gonna get in so much fucking trouble, you know. And so we like, I don't know how I think I jumped, if I remember right, or I like grabbed the side, got low, and then jumped, and I'm just fucking. It's like the serial killer movie where the victim's like running, like trying to get away, and I'm just like power running behind him.
Shit.
And just before he gets to 13, he has to stop because there's traffic or whatever. And I snatched him from. I was like, dude, it was an accident. He's like, no way, it was an accident. I'm like, okay, it wasn't an accident, but I'm like, dude, my mom's got popsicles. Dude, I can steal a couple cigarettes or something. We can go do something really fucking cool, you know. And and we finally talk him into not telling. You know, I go get cigarettes. I go get ice cream. I go get the whole thing.
Whole shebang.
And so, I fucking, I take all this ice cream, I take cigarettes, right, and I'm in a hurry, so I'm not just like, oh, steal 1 cigarette, I'm like, cigarettes, throw the pack, go back and give him the kid his cigarettes, you know, and day comes on, I come home, mom comes home or whatever finally, and notices, like, cigarettes are missing, all the ice cream's gone, you know, and she's like, why is all this shit gone? Well, I had never thought of that part of my plan.
Right, it didn't
I
cover
just thought,
any of it.
Ice cream, cigarettes for the hood rat kid, I'll be safe.
Ice cream to make us feel better.
Right? So, yeah. So, she's like, why's all this shit gone? And I'm like, and so I just, for no reason, break down and tell her.
Right.
I'm like, well, I had, like, kicked Justin out of the barn. And she's like, well, you're always kicking him out of the barn. Like, no, I, like, kicked him out of the barn. Like, and she's like, what? You know, and I'm like, we were just mad and fighting or whatever, and I kicked him out, and he landed on his back, and he was fine, but then I caught him, and he just go through the whole thing, and she's all like, I wouldn't have cared at all. I'm like, can we go get ice cream? She's like, yeah, we can go get ice cream. Like, I can remember learning nothing from that lesson other than like, man, I could have saved all them cigarettes and ice cream for myself. You know? Like, and we were such hood gratty little kids, too. We'd fucking go and steal the halfies out of the cigarette things outside of the apartments and shit, dude. Ugh. So gross thinking of that now.
Mine was always with my little brother, and it was always like fighting over a toy or video games or something like that. And like you tackle him or you like bear hug him or something, but it's to a point where like it's not so much that we were both soft little kids. Like we didn't wrestle
right.
around like you guys. So it was like anytime you'd like get like an Indian burn or some shit like that, like you're like, good, I'm telling Mom. And it was always him. It was always him because the big brother always gets in trouble. So like there's nothing I could do to stop it.
It's got to beat him more.
Yeah.
I learned that obviously with Justin.
Yeah.
God damn. That stuff is so fun though if you think about like look, think like I've made some good mistakes in my day. Most of the real impressive ones as an adult.
Well, yeah.
But when you compare how you felt about a situation when you were a kid, like, I can remember... It's like, I can remember getting in trouble at school for something simple. Detention or whatever. But when somebody hinted at the, like, your dad's gonna beat your ass when you get home, when he gets home.
Oh, yeah.
And just that dread of, like, thinking about it. I thought about that more in my head. Like, the intensity and, like, how I was feeling in the moment then. So much more than, like, anytime I thought I was going to go to jail. You know, like, as an adult, where, like, this has happened a few times. Some guy's got to run his mouth at you or whatever, and I'm not I'm going to sit and run my mouth with you. Like, I'm going to just tell you, this is going to advance or we got to stop arguing because you're fuckhead and I'm going to punch you. And then,
right.
like, and then lo and behold, unlike a lot of guys, I don't just run my mouth. They'll start to run their mouth or be aggressive, and boom, somebody's asleep. And I don't know how many times I've, like, gotten in my car, been like, okay, I'll go to the store later, you know, and you go home and you're just sitting home just like, well, cops will be here anytime, you know. I'm like, fuck it. And I'd have, like, a beer or a joint or whatever. Like, well, I'm going my fucking terms, you know.
Right, I'm going to go
at
my
least have
way.
a buzz on the way there or something. And never happened. But, like, the thought that I didn't have nearly as much stress when I was facing prison time is, like, a spanking.
Oh, yeah. Like, for me, it was never,
I
like,
want to go
mom,
back to be worried about being spanked.
My mom was always the one that would spank us or, like, get physical with us at all. It was never my dad.
Yeah.
Like, my dad, it was always, wait till your dad gets home.
And then he gets home.
And then he gets home and nothing happens. But it was more the
anticipation.
The anticipation, but it was more like... And it was always... His way of doing it was... Like, I think the hardest my mom ever hit me, like, she'd come in and, like... With the fly swatter, but it was, like, the handle of the fly swatter.
God, yeah.
So, like, you get the metal handle. Yeah.
Yeah.
That swing. I got that a couple times, but then it was wait till your dad gets home. And that was always the anticipation, but it was also the... Like, he'd never, like, get physical. He'd never grab you. He'd never anything like that. It was always just... He'd listen to you tell your story, and then he'd kind of just shake his head, and he's I'm not mad. Just disappointed.
right.
And that, to me, hurt way worse than any beating I ever got. But I was also the kind of kid that, like you did with kicking Justin out, I snitched on myself.
Right.
So, like, I would, like... I remember I did something... And I, like, literally told on myself to my mom. Because I was like, she's going to find out anyway. Like, and I can't hold the guilt in. I feel bad. But I was also the kid that...
I never felt bad. I felt bad I was going to get in trouble.
I was also the kid that when I cursed out the dog, I said... Called it, like, a little shit or something like that in front of my mom. What'd you say? And I, like, broke down in tears. Like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. The very next day... I went to the neighbor who had made a paddle for his kids out of like a 2x4 and drilled holes in it with a leather strap in the handle to make my mom a paddle because I felt bad.
You're dumb.
I am. I'm very retarded.
Dumb. Well, but now, like, as an adult, you could, like, because you could just be the sub and, like, find you a little dominatrix and you could make her a paddle and bring it to her. Say, I've been a bad boy. Like, maybe you just didn't know it, like... Maybe you liked it
Maybe just a little bit.
Just a titch. You ever been spanked, Jimmy?
I have not. Not in a good way.
Me neither.
Never been chained to the radiator with the paddle?
Nope. Oh, yeah, like radiator heat. I'm like, that's a weird one. Like a car? This is a car porno now? Oh, Jesus Christ.
Delving back into this whole wrestling with your friends. The Royal Rumble was this past weekend, kids, and boy howdy was history made yet again.
It was so fucking good, dude.
Edge made his return after almost, it must have been 8 or 9 months, almost. Maybe a little bit longer.
May was the last time he wrestled.
Yeah.
And keep in mind, before that, the last time he wrestled was when he retired years before.
Well, prior to that, it was the Rumble when he came back after 9 years.
Well, that's the stretch I'm talking about. He went 9 years without wrestling, wrestled a Rumble, then went a distance again, wrestled another Rumble, and has done, obviously, a couple shows in between. But
yeah. Now he entered the Royal Rumble at the number 1 spot.
First guy in.
And ran the whole table, lasted 58 minutes and 40-some seconds.
As a professional wrestler, that could... in life be 3 of the biggest matches you ever had.
That's like 3 Rumble matches.
Match, like is some of the best matches of all time.
Yeah, that's like 3 Mania matches. Like main eventing Mania matches type deal.
Yep.
And he's had a handful of those anyway.
Right.
But for him to come back after 11 years, and what was even crazier was he won the Rumble 11 years to the day from the first Rumble that he won, when he made a surprise comeback then.
That's so
like
crazy.
he came back at like number 29 or something like that. Like it wasn't, they didn't suspect him to coming back, like he was snuck into the building.
Well, it's kind of like what they do with the legends. Like they set up their finishers and their favorite moves, but they only wrestle for like 4 minutes.
Yeah,
They'll
each one will have their
to give
spots
everybody their spots
to get their.
And then
their
the crowds and the
whatever,
cheers and them flexing when their enemies are all laid out.
We had a few people make returns this year as well. Christian came back after 7 years,
and he looked fucking phenomenal. Like physical condition better than he did 10 years ago.
He did say in a backstage news brief that he wasn't for sure that it was his last match, but all he ever promised was one more match. So
to who, Edge?
To anybody. Like the fans, anytime they retire and they'll make like an appearance, like that's when their next question is like one more match. If you could have one more match, who would it be against, or this or that, or who's some of the talent you would wrestle with today? And so the Rumble was a perfect setting for these guys to come back, because it's been so long since they've been out of the game, that they have all this new talent to interact with and see who they have great chemistry.
And that was cool to watch. I mean, not just Christian and Edge, but like all the people coming back. And like that's what's so cool about Rumble is you get to see like a little snippet in fucking fast forward, because it's so much action with so many guys of all, like how many moments was there in the Rumble? I mean, it seemed like we watched it for hours, just the Rumble.
Yeah.
Because, you know, like there's the Big E smashing up with like, Bobby Lashley. There was like Kane slashing up with
Damian Priest.
Thank you. Like there were so many mini storylines in it. Like that was the first legitimately good WWE match I've watched in a while. Like there's good wrestling.
Well, now here's something to keep you on edge of your seat with this Edge winning the Rumble. He can do what Charlotte Flair did.
It looks like that's what he's gonna do too, huh?
Well, so he went to Raw. He did his face-off with Drew, and at the same time they had a face-off with Sheamus. Sheamus kicked McIntyre, put him down a couple times, and it looks like McIntyre's going to give him a championship match. Whether that's for Mania, if it's going to lead to Mania.
Has Sheamus got a title or something?
No.
Oh.
So Sheamus wants McIntyre's belt. He wants the WWE Championship. So he like made a front to like come after him for the belt.
Gotcha.
But at the end of the day, Edge still has to go for one of the championships. It doesn't matter who the champion is. He can pick the title.
Yeah.
So how they've ran it so far is Monday was Raw. He had the face-off with the champ there. Last night was NXT. He went to NXT. Had the face-off with... That's the one I saw, yeah. Had the face-off with Finn. But it was also Pete Dunne. Because they have a title match ahead of Mania as well.
So whoever it could be...
Yeah, it could be one of those two.
Obviously,
or it could be...
I don't think Finn would drop to Pete to have Pete wrestle Edge unless they're trying to pass the torch type of thing. Well... Like, maybe they're trying to give Pete Dunne a really fucking big old blast.
I could see him building to a triple threat, though, too.
That'd be cool.
If that's... Because I've seen him do that.
Well, Edge, if he was going to agree to anything, it'd be something like...
Where it's going to take a little bit of the pressure off of him.
It'll take the pressure off him. It'll keep the action moving in the match. And he's used to that era of wrestling. Like, when the Dudleys, and the Hardys would be in a TLC match for some belts or whatever the fuck was going on, they were never stopped moving. There was as much action in my mind as there ever was on a Rumble. Every fucking... frame of those matches was fast and mean.
There
and
was
raw.
somebody in the corner while there was two other guys wrestling.
Yeah, it was
outside.
spot to spot. You know, like it was just so good.
I would like to be the guy, like the fly on the wall, to sit in on one of those like meetings where like TLC 1 or TLC 2 where they set up the spear off the ladder.
Yeah,
like to be that guy to sit the fly on the wall to hear them like, okay, this is what we want to do. We got to step it up from the last one we did. What can we do to make it better? And like
that
just to listen to those storylines.
So brutal. Like to just take it, like that could have ended so bad, and it almost did. Like if he had just a little more turn, Hardy would have fucking snapped his neck or something.
Well, he could have fallen on his side. He could have fallen more on his hip. He could have fallen on anything,
or just awkward. You know, like it was such a weird angle anyway, and the way his fucking legs. Like if you ever watch it, if you happen to be a fan, and you see this match where Edge spears Jeff Hardy off the ladder to
20-foot ladder,
yeah. and he lands in such an awkward, like, crash test dummy kind of way or whatever, which he always has been, and up until recently, he'd never actually been hurt in wrestling.
He'd never
Jeff
hurt
Hardy
himself
had never
from
had anything.
Wrestling, and no injuries.
Like motocross and drinking.
Yeah. Normal redneck shit. Normal South Carolina
stuff. It's like
stuff.
Donald Cerrone, the UFC fighter.
Yeah.
Like, he almost never gets hurt in fights and shit. I mean, he gets beat up, but he doesn't get hurt. It's always like, I got bucked off a bull. I ran my motorcycle around a loop and then jumped it into the Grand Canyon, and then I rolled my ankle. Like,
right.
But that guy's awesome.
So then you also have Carlito that made his return.
And he was fucking jacked to the moon, dude. He went out too soon, I think. I think they should have given him a chance to... I mean, unless that was the point, was to just put him in the Rumble, but you wouldn't think that'd be the point if he's so yoked still.
Well, he put on muscle. They said he went up from like 190 or like early 200s when he was wrestling last.
Yeah.
He's 220 now. He's 220
bigger
pounds.
than that,
yeah.
I guess. But yeah, he's defined. I just assumed everybody besides Kane was making an appearance to push a new storyline. Like Sheamus, like you're saying, he's wanting to go after Drew McIntyre. Well, he hasn't really been too heavy on the roster, has he? Other than he was one of the guys from Survivor Series, right?
So he was one of the big guys from
He's
Survivor
always
Series,
good
but
in
he's
those
also
positions.
had like, oh yeah, he can
Like
he can play the heel.
Well, he's a great wrestler for matches with a lot of guys in the ring and long term. Like him, Cesaro can both keep a match going indefinitely if they wanted.
Yeah, one of the big storylines they were pushing was him and Keith Lee for a minute. So.
Did they
Sheamus
clash at the Rumble? I don't remember him like zoning in on it.
I don't even think Keith Lee was in the Rumble.
What?
I don't think Keith Lee was in the Royal Rumble.
I'm thinking Big E.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Big E had his deal. He's been going at it with Sami Zayn. And it looks almost like it's going to be a Big E and AJ Styles storyline going forward now for that U.S. Championship or the Intercontinental belt. But Carlito had another match on Raw the next night he tagged with Jeff Hardy to take on Elias and that Jackson Riker guy.
Oh, cool.
But it's also backstage, like there's news possible that he could be taking a producer role eventually as like in the backstage area, which would be cool. I would see, no pun intended for the Carlito fans out there. But he was they're not sure if he's going to have any more matches at this point. Probably he'll have a couple more just to get him into that point, and I think eventually they're going to put him in the Hall of Fame.
The vignettes and shit like that. Like he definitely can be a behind the curtain thing. I really wish they'd bring more of that back too. Like during
his was like the the only ones they do anything
when
more.
The Rock was big before he started doing a bunch of the movies. They would always be having these interview backstagey things of people knocking on dressing rooms or doing whatever shenanigans and shit. I kind of missed that part.
Yeah, they don't. I mean, they do have a little bit of that backstage interaction where it was like that. But the vignettes, like the videos, the introductions, they do a lot of that for NXT. They did some for Aleister Black for a while.
Yeah.
And they've done a couple for like when Liv Morgan was out, they reintroduced her character. They did the same thing for Carmella when she was out for a while. They brought her back and reintroduced her character. So they still keep on that vignette, but NXT is the one that's blowing that part out of the water. If you want to get away from the big dog in the water right now and look at the other mediocre dogs in the fight. And I say mediocre because the New Japan
value, not the quality of wrestling. Because if you guys want to watch the best actual wrestling in the world, New Japan Pro Wrestling is it.
Yeah.
Period.
So they've got their big thing over there. Like their NWO is the Bullet Club for those that don't know, and that's kind of like the NWO DX were like the big '90s with the crotch chops and the two sweets. If you were
the bad good guys,
if you were in 4th grade and you didn't have an NWO or a DX shirt,
it's because you didn't own television,
and you were just poor.
You couldn't steal
you weren't
from Walmart
the cool
like
kid.
the rest of us.
You weren't the cool kid, but so they do that, and now for a minute they're in like the mid to 2010s, 2012, 2014, 2015, somewhere in there. It got really big, and they had Finn Balor as a leader, AJ Styles as a leader. When they were over there, AJ Styles kept his name, but Finn Balor I think was Prince Devitt.
Yeah.
And so you've had like this huge faction, and it's gained members and lost members and stuff like that. And the guys that have left usually end up coming over to WWE. 90% of those times, those guys that have come over have been like just stupid characters that they've gone with. And they'll reinvent themselves down the road if they get the chance to and stuff like that. Well, now some of those characters like Luke Gallows, Doc Gallows now, Carl Anderson, the Machine Gun, are now with Impact. They are the Impact tag team champions. They've now made the jump to AEW to kind of interact there with Kenny Omega. You've got the Young Bucks, who were a huge part of the Bullet Club back in the day, where they were part of an elite group, aka the Elite, which makes it so easy to understand. And it was the Bucks, Hangman Page, Kenny Omega, Cody Rhodes for a minute. He's actually kind of fallen completely out of that clique. You had those 5 guys there for the most part, and now they've taken that and made it part of this huge AEW production where they have characters from all over the roster that have now in this web series that they do. But you're now interacting with New Japan because they just had Kenta, who was can't remember what the hell his name was over here. Hideo Itami.
Yeah.
When he was in NXT, he made his huge debut in NXT, and the crowds went nuts because, again, huge person over there. Finn Balor made his debut, the same thing. You see these guys come over and they just make huge impacts over here because of their name, but then WWE can't find the program to put them in to make it worth a while.
Right.
Or when Kenta was over here in
NXT, to run the story for them.
Yeah, when Kenta was over here in NXT, he would either get hurt or hurt people. Like, that was his MO. And it was always the same thing. He always had, like, you can see, like, when he wrestles now, he's got a scar on his shoulder from a surgery he had to have from over here. But he surprised everybody last night as well, Wednesday night, by showing up on AEW and attacking Jon Moxley. Because he wants Moxley's IWGP US Championship, because he's gone over to New Japan and won the belt there for a minute before he went anywhere else. So they've got this huge, it's looking like there's every other major, quote-unquote, independent wrestling company out there is joining forces to some extent.
Well, it seems like they're trying to put whatever final knife is necessary in the WWE product to at least... If indie wrestling fans and hardcore wrestling fans, like, I don't want to say like we are, but we're more than the casual fan of wrestling for sure, of just WWE product. If those 3 entities come together and we as a community of wrestling fans don't latch onto that and give it enough support, then that's kind of the death throes of that shit too. Because TNA is always in and out of going out of business, constantly. They've rebranded. I mean, I call them TNA or whatever, and apparently it's Impact now. Like, just Impact Wrestling. But, like, I mean, New Japan Pro Wrestling isn't going to go anywhere. They're essentially just lending their name because they're equally successful over there. Like, right. Money-wise. So, I don't know. It's weird how the battle is happening again. The Monday night, Thursday, Wednesday wars.
Yeah, I think it's more Wednesday focused just because of NXT versus AEW, if you think about it. Yeah. NXT is the one program to watch for WWE fans, I would say. Like, it is definitely it is
smaller ring, faster product.
Edge put it in the perfect perspective. He goes, wrestling for this company, WWE, on Mondays and Fridays, we focus more on the entertainment aspect. When we're here at NXT, it's that second W. It's all about the wrestling.
Yeah.
Everything is about the wrestling. You watch... The girls have stepped their games up compared to the women's division in like Raw and SmackDown.
That's one of the biggest entertainment factors is the women's division on Monday and Friday.
But I also think you got to look at the quality of wrestling has changed drastically from the 2 or 3 minute spots that they would get. Now they get like a 2-segment section on the program.
Right,
and the wrestling has gotten 1,000 times better.
Yeah, for sure. I didn't mean it in that way if that was what was interpreted. I just mean when it comes to entertainment over wrestling, I think the women's division is more one than the other still. It's better. Because it used to be, I mean, imagine the Diva belt.
Yeah.
You know, that era where it was like, okay, honey, here's 3 inches of fabric for your bottom and 2 inches for your top, and go make sure you do the split 6 or 7, 12 times.
Right.
Getting in and out of the ring. You know what I mean? Like, like grossly over the top. And it was only because I was like, age 12 to 17 that I had absolutely no problem with that.
Right. Nothing.
Of course, I was like, yeah, dude, did you see that? You know what I mean? Like, forget all fucking about wrestling. Or what was that white sheet match with right at the end when they're about to rip the bra and panties off each other and the fucking sheets come down and you can only see the silhouette or whatever, that thing.
Gotcha, yeah.
Who was that? That was Vince McMahon's assistant. Who was that?
Stacy?
Yeah, Stacy Keibler.
Okay.
Yeah, shit, yeah, dude.
That's right.
Her and I want to say Trish Stratus or something.
Probably.
Yeah, I think it was Trish Stratus. But yeah, it was just so much goofier.
Yeah.
And the other things, there wasn't shit going on in the world. Like,
no.
If I remember right, like, my favorite era was before 9/11, before politics mattered.
Right.
Like, nobody cared besides politicians up until that point, and then everybody's like, I'm a politician too.
Right.
I have an opinion. No, you have a vote. Quit it. Go back to your regular job now. Fuck, man. Oh. Do we want to fucking kick her off?
Well,
or?
I won't. Let's not blast the page out there, but we have found a new home.
Yes.
We
have found a page.
Like-mindedness on so many levels. And it's one that you can't... The requirements of the page are literally, do you promise not to report anything on this page?
Right.
And do you seriously promise not to report anything on this page? Those are the only two questions asked.
And then they let you join.
And
then you go, oh, wow, I see what they mean.
Yeah.
Immediately it's like, oh, shit.
Like, when you play Cards Against Humanity with your family for the first time, and you're like, I didn't know that side of you.
Oh, right. Or that you'd be willing to play even.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm always going to say sandwich or whatever, Yeah.
Jerking off in a child's pool of tears right. has always been like our go-to card, like our favorite card. That or God, what was it? Riding a hog while blasting a shotgun in the air or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, so these people, these pages, I've been on pages like this before, like gross out pages or like, haha, this is really funny adult humor or whatever. This is its own version of that. Like, there's all that stuff, and then, like, a guy will say, like, post some meme-y picture, like, show me your titties. And, like, most of the time you'd think it'd be just funny shit. And then all these girls show you their titties. And you're like, those are the girls in the picture.
Yeah.
See, there's the comment bubble, there's their face, and then there's them and their
That's the clover tit in her picture.
Yeah, and then the winky face thing down here, they all talk like guys. That's what spooks me. It's like,
we always
sometimes I'm like, I've heard of these women, these unicorns out there.
But they're usually the scary ones that you're like they're coming on a little aggressive.
Yeah. It's either like, I want to fuck you with like a hot rod iron, or like, I want to lay here in missionary position until you're finished.
Right. There's never that happy medium that matches us.
Yeah, but I think they're there.
They definitely seem to come out, yeah.
I couldn't believe it. The first time, like, because obviously we're new to the page or whatever, so I'm like, the one guy posts something about, like, let's see all these sexy mamas or whatever. Here comes all these pics, and I'm like, what kind of wizardry is this? Like, all you did was ask, and then they obliged numerous times, and not just like the 6s and 5s.
Yeah.
There's like 9s on there posting pictures, and I'm like, what the fuck?
I think my favorite one I've seen recently, going with that theme there, was like the picture of Pikachu, and he's all sad, and he's like, anytime you ask a woman anytime a woman posts something sexual in our page, and it's like Pikachu's, can I fuck you?
Right. I immediately thought of you.
Oh yeah.
I was like, I know Jim messaged that girl right away with something cute or funny.
I haven't messaged any of them on there.
Me neither.
Not a single one. I commented on a couple of them.
Check your DMs.
Just don't report me.
Don't report me. You asked for this.
I'm not going to take your toe or eat a piece of your skin.
Right. No. Not at all.
Army Hammer.
Now we got that, though. You know what I mean? Like, if you're going to talk to a woman, you could be like, well, I'm not Army Hammer.
Yeah.
You'd be like, oh,
What's-
God, you're
what's-
not?
what's
You're like, no.
Half the time they're like,
What's the craziest thing you've ever done? And you're like, I still don't really want to talk about that.
Also, like I was talking to somebody tonight on the phone, and I was like, we talk about some pretty interesting stuff on the pod. I go, but we're both pretty vanilla.
yeah.
Like I was like, I'm just introduced to the whole choking thing. She goes, I used to have a guy that come over here specifically because I would beat the shit out of him.
Right.
She was like, that was like literally the only way he could get off, and I was very scared that I was going to be sitting, like, he would wake up and I'd be sitting on a murder charge waiting at my house, and I'd be like, that's not me, don't worry, I ain't going to push the envelope there.
No, like, and this is the thing, it's so funny because, like, people agree to some strange things and totally won't agree to other things. So, like, in a couple instances, the same woman that wants to be, like, way too rough and crazy and, like, shit that just doesn't even seem sexual is the one that's super put off by three-ways.
Right.
And I'm like, not that a three-way is what I want. Like, if I was to dream, like, fall asleep and make something up, it would probably just be, like, a house full of beautiful women that I just went around doing stuff to, and they were doing stuff to each other, and, like, maybe Jim's over in the corner doing stuff to the 8 or 9 of them, you know, and it's just...
As long as I'm not in the Superman suit you keep talking about.
No, man, you get to be, like, partake in this dream scenario or whatever. Like, and everybody's just... I think that people being cool with sex is the coolest thing for me. Like, we're adults. Of all the problems in the world, and all the things in the world that I think right now everybody should be into, is the one thing they can't tax. Doesn't cost money unless you're silly enough to pay for it. You know, like... And if it wasn't a stigma on... It's funny, I really wanted to go this direction with the pod, and I know we're, like, wrapping up or whatever, and this is, like, a 30-minute thing, so I'm not going to do it, but, like, what if we're wrong about all the things we think are right? And we're right about all the things that we think are, you know, like, what if, you know what I mean? Like, who said having sex with a bunch of people in an act that if, like, I know how I act when I have sex, and it's about the other person, it's about fun, it's definitely not about hurting somebody.
Oh, yeah, no.
Or whatever. It's all about, like, that we're doing this really awesome thing and connected together or whatever. So why would we limit that and literally base religions off, like, you like her? Like, I do. Better marry her. Like, wait, what? Yeah. If you're going to penis that girl, you definitely should be married to her, otherwise God will get mad at you. And, like, I'm not picking on religion.
Oh, yeah,
Don't get me wrong, because I know we got, like, some family and friends in here that they're religious people. They have those ideals. I'm not against it, but from my perspective, looking at how we all apply rules to each other, the ones we all hate collectively, or as a majority at least, seem to be the ones that matter, not just matter the most, but, like, you know, you'll cutthroat somebody else for money.
Yeah.
But you don't cheat on people, or you cheat on people but you won't cutthroat people for money. It's like, there's all these different lines, and we're definitely going to cover this topic on the next episode. I'd really like to do that, especially on a sober brain that wasn't interrupted for the better part of an hour to talk about ramen noodles that I super fucking appreciate. If you're listening to the podcast, it just was really funny how it happened in the middle of a thing, but
and not to cut you out, but it was just a little, like,
it was
us
long.
looking off camera to a face of nobody there, and it was very drawn out.
So yeah, we love you, but no, we didn't leave it in.
No.
And but we'll get back to this topic because I want to talk about good versus bad versus good.
My thought on the whole wedding, like, not for God, you better marry her if you're gonna penis her, is I don't want anybody else penising her. That'd be my thought.
That's what they're doing, though. That's what I mean. Like, I've never wanted anybody that doesn't want me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, well, I have, but you from afar, and you're in pain because of it or whatever. But, like, if you're not into me, I'm not into you, so I don't care. You know, like,
if you're just using me for the penile, then go away.
Right, or if you don't like me, you know, I'm not gonna try and buy you.
Yeah.
In some form of marriage or whatever. So yeah, I'm gonna really deep dive into those different rules and that we all seem to agree on.
We'll chit chat next week, guys.
And we love you. Yeah, that's what's going on next week.
It's been a super long episode. We apologize.
It has. Hey,
but it's golden.
Cut it in half. Whatever you got to do to watch it, you know. But this will be a good one. And we love you. We love that you hang in for those 1 or 2 good episodes every 10 or 12 episodes. And we'll see you next week.
Bye, guys.